On the pages today, exploring the economic opportunities of the Blue and Jonquil Mountains.
Much of what we must create and market to the rest of Jamaica, the Caribbean and the world are in fact the lived heritage of a people.
We also reflect on the life of national hero, the Right Excellent Norman Manley.
He gave us a confidence in ourselves, a belief that there was nothing that Jamaicans could not achieve.
I am Theodore Henry, and you are watching Jamaica Magazine. Our first stop is the news desk, right after this important message.
We have championed e-learning in Jamaica, provided state-of-the-art technology in over 200 educational institutions, developed materials for CSEC, piloted the Tablets in Schools project in 38 schools, including infant and primary, and trained thousands of teachers in technology integration. We are E-Learning Jamaica Company Limited, ELJAM, an agency of the Ministry of Science, Energy and Technology. Visit our website, www.elearnja.org.
Good day, I'm Tamara McHale, and this is your GIS News for Thursday, August 4. Prime Minister Andrew Holness has directed the Ministry of Economic Growth and Job Creation to streamline its operations to improve efficiency. Mr. Holness gave the instruction to the Permanent Secretary, heads of agencies and other directors at a strategic ministry retreat on Wednesday.
You are going to have to look at every single business process that you undertake. In other words, every bit of delegation, every bit of process that you do for decision making, for applications, for approvals. How can we bring in technology? How can we flatten hierarchies to make them more efficient?
The Prime Minister, meanwhile, pledged his continued support for the private sector, asserting that it was the fastest route to economic growth. Mr. Holness also urged the Ministry of Economic Growth and Job Creation to partner with the private sector to create wealth.
I want to see more Jamaicans make more profit in their business. I want to see more Michael Leachins and more Butch Stewart. Jamaica can create our own Bill Gates, and we must support that. My job is to make more Jamaicans rich, and I'm not ashamed of that. My job is to support business.
And government support to businesses extended to Montego Bay last Friday when Tourism Minister Edmund Bartlett broke ground for the building of the Hard Rock Cafe at Secret Resorts. The $2 million US investment is expected to be ready by November and will employ 80 persons at various levels once completed.
This experience is part of that critical network which is going to underpin the growth pillars that will enable us to have 5 million visitors by 2021, to earn $5 billion US, and to employ an additional 35,000 Jamaicans within that period.
Meanwhile, Chief Operating Officer of Rocking Restaurant Group, Andre Dixon, who is spearheading the project, said the Hard Rock Cafe Montego Bay establishment joins a growing list of global locations.
Our commitment to Montego Bay is to be a leader in the community in the areas of entertainment, culinary options, and special events.
Hard Rock Cafe now operates at 199 venues in 63 countries. Government is defending its mobilization efforts for tropical wave turned tropical storm Earl. The system passed the island on Tuesday with minimal damage, which has caused some to say the state overreacted to the weather system. But at a press conference Wednesday, local government minister Desmond McKenzie said government had a responsibility to ensure that it takes the necessary steps to protect lives and property.
The country was placed on alert because it is the opinion of this administration that we are not going to take chance when it comes on to any system. We rather do all the things that is necessary instead of trying to play catch up after the event has passed.
And finally, Prime Minister Andrew Holness has expressed regret at the passing of Faye Tortello, a former honorary consul for Italy. The oldest sister of former Prime Minister Edward Siaga, Mrs. Tortello, passed away on Monday, 3 days before her 85th birthday. In a statement, Prime Minister Holness described Tortello as a savvy businesswoman who brokered a number of projects at no cost to the government, including the rehabilitation of the JPS power plant at Old Harbour and the Bustamante Children's Hospital. Mr. Holness also remembered Tortello's dynamic and forceful personality and keen sense of humor. Tortello is survived by her 3 children, George, Philip and Rebecca, as well as 7 grandchildren and great-grandchildren. And that's it for JIS News today. I'm Tamara McHale. Thank you for watching.
We said nowhere like Jamaica as we get together and feel alright at the Independence Village Randy Williams Entertainment Center, August 1 to 6. Come enjoy food court, live performances, display, rides and attractions. Kiddies Village free from noon to 5 p.m. daily with paid night entertainment. Come play a game of domino, bingo and lots more. See the best of Jamaica's culture and display as we celebrate Jamaica 54. Let's get together and feel alright.
In 2015, the island's famous Blue and John Crow Mountains were inscribed on the UNESCO World Heritage List. Since then, stakeholder meetings have been held to explore the economic opportunities. Let's hear more about that plan.
Located on the eastern end of the island within the preservation zone of the Blue and John Crow Mountains National Park and Forest Reserve is the Blue and John Crow Mountains World Heritage Site. It was inscribed on the UNESCO's prestigious World Heritage List in 2015, making it Jamaica's first World Heritage Site. Now, Minister of Culture, Gender, Entertainment and Sport Olivia Grange has begun a series of stakeholder sessions to enlighten residents on ways they can earn from living in such a historical and culturally rich space.
This effort is to ensure that Jamaica benefits economically from this international designation. The history and current reality of the communities of the Blue and John Crow Mountains point to the need for new and creative approaches founded on the cross-cutting nature of culture and the economic value that must be placed on the products and services created and lived, and I quote, lived within these communities. Much of what we must create and market to the rest of Jamaica, the Caribbean and the world are in fact the lived heritage of a people.
The aim, therefore, is to unearth business opportunities, enable job creation, and find more ways to earn an income. The overall initiative is being executed by the Jamaica Conservation and Development Trust, JCDT, which manages the World Heritage Site.
One of the benefits of being a World Heritage Site is that there are a lot of tourism opportunities, heritage tourism opportunities, and that is the way that the tourism industry is going nowadays. Yes, people want to go on the beach a little bit, but they don't want to spend their whole vacation there. They want to experience natural heritage, cultural heritage, and experience community life. And so we are using the opportunity of this workshop, as well as a series that will be going on through the next several months, to work with communities to develop what these economic opportunities will be. They have to be economic activities that will not damage or degrade the natural heritage. They need to be environmentally friendly. They should focus on whatever cultural resources are there in the community already and build on those.
You can also contemplate community-based products. We're looking at developing artisan villages, and artisan villages can become attractions. What an artisan village? They come to see you sitting down making the drum. They can sit beside you, help you knock in a nail as part of the experience. They come and they see the potter in the room working on his thing. So the artisan villages seeing artisans at work, not just people selling products that have been imported.
Among the communities being targeted are Accompong, Moortown, Scotts Hall and Charlestown. One resident who lives in the Blue and John Crow Mountain area attests how his community has already been able to achieve economic gains.
We write to EFJ for a project to open the Kunu Pass Trail, which is one of the oldest trails in Jamaica with a lot of history. Now we got the funding and we opened the Kunu Pass Trail, which with an intention that we will achieve visitor to the Kunu Pass Trail. We look and see what we had. We look at the forest. We see the beautiful forest. We know all the things that we had in the forest. So we said we could put it to economic use. So we started and we built a cabin. And the visitors started to come in using the trail. And so we prolonged. We got another grant from smaller grant. We moved from 1 cabin to 5 cabins. We can house 30 guests at Ambassador now. So we moved from from farming to ecotourism.
Amazing, isn't it? It's with the goal of creating more stories like this why the ministry and its partners are investing in engaging and educating residents who live in and around the Blue and John Crow Mountains.
This is Jamaica's first World Heritage inscription and the only mixed site in the Caribbean. This is not an achievement to be taken lightly.
We are ready in this ministry to work closely with these communities to provide mentorship and other support mechanisms aimed at strengthening these events, certainly in the area of management and organization. We also intend to partner with our tourism experts and JBDC to deal with product development and sales, marketing and promotion internationally, as also with the Ministry of Local Government and National Works Agency to treat with access to these communities.
For more information, contact the Jamaica Conservation and Development Trust at 960-284829 or send an email to jamaicaconservation@gmail.com. You can also visit blueandjohncrowmountains.org and click on Community Tourism Opportunities. Get your tickets early for the 2016 staging of Grand Gala at the National Stadium on August 6. Tickets will be available from Friday, July 29 at Tasty Crossroads and Tasty Portmore, and from August 1 to 5 at Independence Village, Ranny Williams Entertainment Center. Let's get together and feel all right.
Up next, a reflection of the life of one of the founding fathers of our Constitution.
The national flag flies proudly beside the childhood home of the Right Excellent Norman Manley, symbolizing his status as a national hero and his contribution to Jamaica's journey to nationhood. His involvement in the country's campaign to independence was rooted in his resentment of the lack of rights for the poor working class.
He was a man who devoted much of his life to looking after what we call the underdog. That was one of the things which drove him relentlessly as a political leader.
And his advocacy, which had begun years earlier, took on a more defined role when he rose to lead the newly formed People's National Party in 1938.
We have to see Norman Manley's role in 1938 as a period in which he demonstrated his capacity for reconciliation and negotiation. He was in touch with the governor, in touch with the unions, in touch with the business people. His characteristic was trying to reconcile and bring together the contending forces and arrive at a solution to the issues.
As a statesman, Manley refused to be satisfied with the universal adult suffrage in 1944. He had bigger dreams, among them to see Jamaica take full control of its own affairs. So he became deeply involved in the move to develop a new constitution, and the fight for full independence from Britain.
Norman Manley believed that the organization of the people in political parties would be the instrument the vehicle through which Jamaica would be able to decolonize itself from the dominance of British rule. So the Constitution basically was an attempt to put in writing what is unwritten in British. The British Constitution is not a single document. It's referred to as unwritten, but that's not entirely accurate. It's just that it's not codified in a single document. We attempted to extract from the British experience those principles that would then shape the Jamaican Constitution.
He tried to get a constitution that would reflect both the aspirations of the Jamaican people, but would also allow for that system to operate in a harmonious way that would ensure the full participation of the citizenry consistent with a parliamentary democracy.
N.W. Manley was the consummate statesman and politician, driven by his need to seek the welfare of the people. As leader of the People's National Party, he got his first taste of victory in 1955 when Jamaicans went to the polls.
It was a vindication of all that he had campaigned for. He regarded it as a mandate to put in place programs that would result in the social transformation and the economic growth of Jamaica.
The national hero and chief minister left an extensive legacy. In addition to his role in obtaining universal adult suffrage in 1944, N.W. Manley also founded the National Workers' Union in 1952. 2 years later, in 1954, he led efforts to secure executive powers for elected representatives.
Under the colonial system, elected officials, their power was balanced off by the nominated officials who the governor nominated. So that between 1944 and 1953, although Bustamante had won the election, he had no power because they were no ministers, as it were.
It was also under Norman Manley's leadership that Jamaica achieved full internal self-government in 1959, a precursor to political independence that would come 3 years later.
What that means is that we had responsibility for all the portfolios that dealt with internal developments, but the governor was still responsible for foreign affairs, for defense, and for justice. Under the independence, you are responsible now. You are managing your external affairs and determining who you trade with, who you have political relations with, and that's not determined by Britain or by the governor as a representative of Britain in Jamaica.
With Manley at the helm, the government established the Bank of Jamaica, the Development Bank of Jamaica, and the College of Arts, Science and Technology CAST, now the University of Technology.
And among the indelible contributions which he has made to the entire Jamaican society was the granting of 2,000 free places in secondary schools during the 1950s. And most of the professionals, the engineers, the doctors, the accountants, the lawyers, the public administrators, and so much of our creative talent was the direct product of that flowering of the opening of opportunity for all.
His legacy also includes the Small Business Loan Board, the Jamaica Welfare Limited, now called the Social Development Commission, the foundation of youth service, and the success in securing land tenure for farmers. Manley's dedicated service to Jamaica earned him the Order of National Hero, the highest award to be bestowed on a citizen. Norman Washington Manley led a busy and public life in service to his country. We know he was an athlete, soldier, and brilliant lawyer, but those who knew him admired him for other reasons.
He also had a passion for outdoor life. So he liked horse riding, and he would retreat to the hills where he was a master axeman. And he did it not only for physical fitness, but for him, to watch him cutting down a tree was little short of a work of art.
An avid reader and love of classical music, he was also a fearless driver.
Everyone knows, of course, he was a fast driver. And I can recall occasions coming home from meetings in the country when he would tell his driver, pull over, he would go to the wheel, and sitting in the back seat, you would shut your eyes and pray that you would get home safely.
Norman Manley was also a family man. He married his cousin Edna in 1921, and together they produced 2 boys.
It was a close-knit family of achievers, with Edna Manley in the art world as a sculptor, but also very committed to politics and to the development of the nationalist movement, because they saw themselves not simply as party people, but as belonging to a national movement.
And the boys, Douglas and Michael, followed in their father's footsteps.
Douglas Manley tried to compete in the athletic sphere and broke his father's 100 yards record, which had been in existence for 30 years. And Michael Manley, the youngest son, followed his father's footsteps in becoming party leader in 1969 and serving as Prime Minister of Jamaica for 2 terms in the 1970s and 1 term after 1989.
Undoubtedly, Norman Washington Manley was devoted to excellence, the fulfillment of purpose, and the promotion of human dignity.
He gave us a confidence in ourselves, a belief that there was nothing that Jamaicans could not achieve, no level of performance beyond their grasp.
Revered as the father of the nation, Manley was an inspiring leader who touched the lives of Jamaicans home and abroad, making an indelible mark internationally and in the region. In his final speech in 1969, he asserted that the mission of his generation was to accomplish political power for the black masses of the people from which he sprang. Mission accomplished, he declared. And having accomplished his mission, Norman Washington Manley died on September 2, 1969.
From live animal power to mechanized speed under the hood, narrow walkways and dirt tracks to multi-lane pavements and overhead carriageways.
The technology of transportation in Jamaica has come a long way.
Planes, trains, and automobiles on the Jamaican landscape have evolved over the decades and centuries. Go back in time, say the late 18th, entire 19th, and even the early 20th century, and you're likely to find these. A mode of transportation that involved harnessing the power of animals. The not-so-simple carriages of yesteryear are the precursors to the pavement-eating machines that now use motors designed to convert energy into useful mechanical motion. By the latter part of the 1800s, trams, horseless, metal, steam-powered carriages running on tracks were a feature of Jamaican roadways. They were preceded by the railroad, Jamaica being one of the first in the Americas. And by the mid-1900s had entirely moved aside to make room for the cars and buses that run independently on the paved streets that have been laid over former gravel and dirt tracks. After making landfall, the airways and sea lanes weren't far behind for motor technology. It's believed that the Jamaican skies saw its first plane in December 1911, when an American aviator, Jesse Seligman, took flight at the Knutsford Park Racecourse in what is now New Kingston. The national carrier Air Jamaica, now Caribbean Airlines, had its first departure flight to Miami on May 1, 1966. Commercial and domestic aviation is now a fully established mode of transportation for people and goods in Jamaica. The 1800s brought steamships, and steam vessels quickly made their way to Jamaican waterways, eventually making room for the motorized speedboats, heavy cargo ships, and cruise liners that we now find berthed at Jamaican docks. And after a long run, broken by about 2 decades of inactivity, passenger train service in Jamaica resumed in early 2011, at least on a trial basis.
It's a new beginning. New day is dawning. It's time to arise. We are the gene of achievement and pride.
A bold new beginning, time for action. We have the spirit to fight on.
This is Jamaica, this is our land. We have our future with God in our plan. We'll play our part building this great nation. This is Jamaica, this is our land.
Let us make every effort to forge unity and resolve to work hard for our prosperity.
Leaving our children a legacy of hope, breaking the shackles and smashing the yoke. This is Jamaica, this is our land. This is our we have our future with God in our plan. We'll play our part building this great nation. This is Jamaica, this
Let me hear
is
the
our
children
land.
say.
This is Jamaica, this is our land. We have a future with God in our plan. We'll play our part building this great nation. This is Jamaica. Come on, everybody, let's sing. This is Jamaica, this is our land. We have our future with God in our plan. We'll play our part building this great nation. This is Jamaica, this is our land.
Jamaica, together we can.
And that's how we close the pages of Jamaica Magazine for today. But don't worry, another edition will be out tomorrow. Until then, just connect to our website, jis.gov.jm. And while you are online, send your feedback to Jamaica Magazine at jis.gov.jm or a tweet at JIS News. We also have the Android app in the Google Play Store and the brand new iOS app in the Apple Store. So on behalf of the production crew, I am Theodore Henry. Walk good.
This has been a production of the Jamaica Information Service, the voice of Jamaica.